again, guys? This is your host, Bucksamurai7. I just want to do a review on the 1998 family action-packed film, Small Soldiers. I always loved watching this movie as a kid. The film was so good, it was a video game franchise. It even had a plethora of merchandise. I like to place this movie on my list called Loveable Movies That Are Lit. Now, let's all sit back, strap on our seatbelts like we're on a bus, and let's delve into the world of Small Soldiers. Small Soldiers begins in the corporate office building of the toy manufacturing business known as Heartland Play Systems, now owned by the military contractor Global Tech Industries, where two of its employees named Larry Benson and Ern Wayfair were given the task to impress their new boss, Gil Mars, with brand new toys to put on the market only with the purpose to have them to be able to play back with their owners. Those toys were two separate groups, one named the Gorgonites, a band of peaceful monsters looking to find their home of Gorgon, the other a band of soldiers called the Commando Elite. Thanks to Larry's presentation of the Commando Elite, Gil grants the duo an opportunity to have the toys ready for sale. With the tight 3-month deadline, Larry uses Irwin's secret password to order a large order of chips called the X1000 to be used as the battery life for the toys, not caring about what they were capable of. Meanwhile, a high school student named Alan Abernathy rides his bike to work at his father's antique toy store, the Inner Child, which barely had any revenue. With the intention of helping the store to gain revenue, Alan gets the Heartland truck driver, Joe, to give him a set of Commando Elite toys along with a set of Gorgonites to sell before his father returned from his business trip. As Alan began to set the toys up on the shelf, he noticed that two customers came into the store. Those customers were Alan's next-door neighbors, Christy Fimple and her younger brother, Timmy Fimple. After being fascinated by being shot with a plastic dart in the head, Timmy tells his sister that he wanted the Commando Elite leader, Major Chip Hazard, along with the Gorgonite leader, Archer, as gifts for his birthday. When Timmy returned home with Christy, he immediately told his mother, Marion Fimple, while his sister watched her father, Phil Fimple, finish setting up his brand new satellite dish. As Alan spent the rest of his night doing his coursework, he found out that Archer mysteriously got into his bag. To find out more about Archer, Alan attempted to have a regular conversation, but it failed due to being told to be quiet. Meanwhile, back at the toy store during the night, when no one was there, the rest of the Commando Elite, the Sniper, Butch Meathook, the Demolition Specialist, Nick Nitro, the Artillery Specialist, Brick Bazooka, the Communicator Specialist, Link Static, and the Covert Ops Specialist, Kip Killigan, broke out of their boxes and set out to destroy the other Gorgonites. The very next day, Alan returns to the store to see the damage, not knowing or believing that it was caused by the Commandos. Along with the property damage, Alan and Archer found the remains of the Gorgonite navigator, Troglodyte. With the effort to avoid any kind of punishment, Alan quickly cleaned up the store with the help of Christy. Even with that restoration, Alan was sent back home by his father, Stuart Abernathy, only for packed up Archer to almost getting killed by Brick. Thanks to Alan, he reluctantly saves Archer by chopping up Brick's lower body with the rear wheel of his bicycle. Even with almost losing one of his own, Chip still managed to find out where Archer was due to his battery tracking down Alan's home. In the house, Alan tries to file a complaint with Heartland due to what happened at the store, but no one believed him. I said this in my reaction video on the film. If you haven't seen it, I'll repeat that in this review. Why didn't Heartland Play Systems question Alan about how or why he had any of the toys when they weren't ready to be shipped out for the market yet? Anyways, back to the review. Meanwhile, back at the Heartland office building, Larry found himself finally being acknowledged by Gil after hearing his presentation on the upcoming launch of the new Commando Elite toys. Unfortunately for Larry, Irwin found out that Larry used his password to buy the X1000 chips after discovering that they were designed for the Department of Defense, and he was furious about that. Back in Alan's home, Archer found himself captured and almost chopped into pieces by the garbage disposal. Luckily, Alan came into the kitchen just in time to save him again and managed to dismember Nick with the appliance. The commotion of what happened led Alan to finally telling his father the truth about buying the toys to sell in the store. The confession led Alan into a heated argument with his parents, causing them to take some time apart. Meanwhile, in Phil's garage, the remaining Commando Elite grieves at the sight of Nick's death from his wounds, as well as began to use the room as their base of operations. In that time of seclusion, Alan managed to find the other Gorgonites, the one-eyed tripod Ocula, the hunchback ogre Slamfist, the bulky humanoid rhino Punch It, the miniature two-legged frog Scratch It, the spinning hyperactive Insaniac, along with the attempted repair Troglodyte in the dumpster. At Global Tech's Biohazard Unit, Larry and Irwin had an appointment with one of the X-1000's main designers, Ralph Quist, to talk about the problem with the chips being used as batteries for the toys, only to find out their only weakness was to an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. Back in Alan's room, he finds himself puzzled on what to do with the Gorgonites, even though he managed to find them. He then teaches the Gorgonites what the human world is like by describing what's outside the house. Meanwhile, back in Phil's house, the technology enthusiast shows off his new entertainment system to his wife in the living room. I'll bring up a new time the Commando Elite plans to put the couple to sleep using pills from the medicine cabinet. And fortunately for the strike team, it worked. So, they took that chance to explore Christie's room upstairs. But they were found by Timmy. Timmy thought that his parents bought them as an early birthday gift, so he immediately started playing with them, but unfortunately gets subdued by the Commando Elite. As the group watched Timmy squeal around to break the yarn that was used to tie him up, the Commando Elite found Christie's shelf of Gwendy dolls. Ordered by Chip, the Commandos programmed the dolls to come to life, using the remaining energy from Nick's chip. Back in Alan's room, Alan teaches Archer that there are things out there even though they can't be physically seen. Christie then gets dropped off by her boyfriend Brad, only to get captured by the Commandos and used as a hostage to get Alan to surrender the Gorgonites over to them. Alan, however, wasn't going to back down, so he decided to give the Commandos the war that they wanted by placing a decoy box of Gorgonites on the Fimple's lawn to lure the soldiers out of the house. Alan then rocketed Archer into the house to be able to sneak inside to rescue Christie, only to almost getting killed by the Gwendy dolls. Thanks to Archer, Christie was set free to save Alan. The two then destroyed the dolls armed with batons. As an award for Alan's bravery, Christie kisses Alan and leads him back downstairs to wake up Phil and Marion, only to almost getting shot by the Commandos. Alan and Christie's only way of getting out of the house now was using the outside wall's ladder from the upstairs bedroom. Believing that they managed to escape, the Commandos unleashed their completed work on the duo by destroying the garage door and began to attack them. Christie drove Alan with Brad's bike to escape, only to almost getting killed by a burned-down tree and a light pole. Christie jumped over a ravine with the bike. Unfortunately for the Commandos, their vehicle failed to make the landing and exploded with the pond. Believing that it was over, Alan drove Christie back home. Unfortunately for the duo and Archer, Chip survived. With the effort of not giving up, Chip captures Joe and orders him to drive his truck back to Alan's neighborhood and orders him to open all the boxes of Commando Elite toys ready for shipment to stores. At first, Phil refused to believe Alan and Christie's claims about Archer being alive, so he takes his family to go back home, only to see Larry and Irwin at the door. Larry and Irwin visit the house to speak with Alan about the toys. Alan tells the employees about the problems with the toys. Irwin then lets Alan know that he would have to take his claims to court, only to get cold-cocked by Stewart for everything the Commandos did to his son. As people were getting ready to leave the house, the lights go out, not knowing that the Commandos began to spring their assault. At the same time, Irwin discovers Joe's truck outside. Christie and Alan also finds the lone surviving Chip leading his new band of Commandos to the house. Phil, on the other hand, decides to negotiate a surrender of the Gorgonzolas, which is what he called them. Chip denies the surrender and orders his new minions to attack. Stewart saves Phil and brings him back into the house. And with that, the Commando Elite began to launch their attack on the Abernathy household. As everyone fought to survive, Larry and Irwin tells the others about the toy's weakness. At the same time, Stewart's wife, Irene, fought the Commandos back using a tennis racket to send the flaming tennis balls to continue to shoot at the house. With that knowledge, Alan comes up with a plan to use the Transformer Tower outside to fry the toys and kill them for good. With an agreement of the plan, Christie leads Larry and Irwin back to her house to power the fuse box to help Alan overload the circuits with a monkey wrench. At first, Stewart couldn't bear his only son to go out there to risk his life, but chose to do it anyway after hearing that he must trust with the idea that he could know exactly what he is doing. With everyone scattered around, Chip decides to fly into the house with a handcrafted helicopter and chased Irene and Phil until they went to hide in the downstairs closet. Meanwhile, Stewart and Alan began their approach to the Transformer, only to be attacked by a band of Commandos. When the situation seemed to be bleak, the Gorgonites finally stood up and decided to fight the Commandos and save the father and son from grave peril. while at the same time, Larry and Irwin tinkered with the Thimple's fuse box to help Alan's plan. With the Gorgonites holding the commandos off, Alan made his move and climbed up the transformer. Unfortunately for Alan, Chip followed him with his chopper and shot the pole, making him drop the wrench. To help Alan, Troglodyte shot Chip's chopper down with the nail gun, making the Commando Elite leader jump onto the pole, abandoning his vehicle. At the same time, the chopper crashed into Phil's brand new satellite dish, knocking it down. With the intention of showing no mercy, Chip attacks Alan with a blade, almost making him fall off the pole. To save Alan's life, Archer gets sent flying up to the pole with the help of Insaniac. With the two leaders finally facing each other, they fought to decide the fate of Alan's life. Unfortunately for Archer, he was kicked off the pole by Chip. Believing that victory went to the Commandos, Alan finally had enough of Chip. Alan grabbed Chip and placed him between the Transformers, not only shocking him, but paralyzing him completely. The aftershock caused Alan to fall off the pole back in the Thimple's backyard. Luckily, a tree broke Alan's fall, saving him from fatal injuries. As Alan tried to get up, he noticed a vast band of commandos were approaching him. At an instant, the commandos began to run away as Christie came out and start mowing them down with a lawnmower, saving Alan's life. At the same time, Larry and Irwin hit the right circuit on the breaker, causing the EMP to wipe out the Commando Elite Army for good. The very next day, the neighborhood was visited by Gil and compensated Joe, as well as the Thimple and Abernathy families, for all the damage the Commandos have caused them. Believing that his life was over, Larry and Irwin were told to raise the original unit price for the Commandos to have them shipped over to Columbia, I believe it was. Alan looked everywhere for the Gorgonites but couldn't find them. Before the Thimple family left the neighborhood, Alan and Christie kissed again as Gil rode his chopper, leaving the area. Later that day, Alan managed to find the Gorgonites under the satellite dish. At first, Alan thought that they were killed by the EMP too, but they were just resting their eyes. With their great victory, the Gorgonites have decided to leave and search for Gorgon by using the same ship from the store that the Commandos have destroyed, now completely repaired. Before they left, Alan and Archer had their final conversation. Alan was in denial about the Gorgonites ever finding their home, but Archer assured him that even though they can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. With that, Alan pushed the ship into the river, letting the Gorgonites go. The movie ends when Alan stood at the shores of the body of water and watched the ship go until he could no longer see it. Small Soldiers has an IMDb rating of 6.3 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 50%. My child self would give it a guaranteed 10 because I love the movie so much. Now, as an adult, I'd probably still leave it at 10, and I am entitled to my view of the film. There was one scene I consider my most favorite, is when Archer finally told his group that it's time to fight instead of hiding. There were two scenes in the movie I didn't like. The first was when Gil gave Larry and Irwin the order to design the toys to do what he wanted them to do, regardless of what might happen. The second was Larry following it anyway and ordering the chips. It makes you wonder who the real villain of the movie is. Is it Gil, Larry, or the Commandos? I want you guys who may be watching me to think about that. I also see Small Soldiers as Toy Story combined with Child's Play, and I love those movies. Anyways, there was news about a supposed remake of the movie by 20th Century Fox called Toymageddon, but was eventually canceled. Now, that's all I have to say about Small Soldiers. It will always remain on my list, Loveable Movies That Are Lit. If there are any films you think I should watch, react, and review, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later.